Welcome back, everybody. Today is Wednesday, May 7th. It is 1:44 p.m. This is the House Commerce and Economic Development Committee, and we are here with Secretary Curley to talk about tourism.
Great. Yes, for the record, I'm Lindsay Curley, Secretary of the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. Thank you, Vice Chair Granning, for having me in this afternoon to the committee on such short notice for the opportunity to speak about the Department of Tourism and Marketing's budget. As you may be aware, the VDTMs, as I will refer to them, their base funding was reduced in the House budget. And we sent a letter, which I don't know if the chair had shared with you, but so essentially
it's on our page, right?
Okay. So I'll give you some context. So essentially what happened was in our budget planning cycle, we strategically reallocated existing money within our budget to what are called GROW grants. And GROW grants are, it's called Grants for Relocation Outreach Work. It's an initiative that was a few years back. There was a one-time funding of $1.3 million that was intended to support local, regional, county-wide efforts for addressing workforce challenges. And then I don't know if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, it was put into base funding. And that money there wasn't enough to make sure that all regions of the state had funds to do this really important work. And so, as I mentioned, internally, as we were doing our budget preparations, we took money from our operating budget within VDTM, which was already very tight. I'll talk to you a little bit about that, and moved it in line items over to the GROW grants because we wanted to be sure that there were counties, Lamoille, Grand Isle, the Northeast Kingdom, one region was covering 3 counties. Like there was a real discrepancy in who was getting these grants. And so we were trying to make sure that we had coverage around the state. And so I believe what happened, and I sent over a picture of our budget. So there's a screenshot. I don't know if, no, nobody's here to show it. Okay.
Anna Grace, would you mind?
Yeah.
If that up on the screen?
If she could show it. What I wanted to point out here was when, let's see, give it a second to show it. So while she's doing that, what I wanted to just underscore is essentially our budget for the whole state to market our entire state is under 5 million normally. As compared to the states around us.
Sorry, the spreadsheet.
Oh, the spreadsheet. As compared to the states around us, New York has 60 million. Massachusetts has 16.7. New Hampshire has 14, just as some examples. So we're really doing this on a shoestring, as you might imagine. So it's really tough. And right now, and tourism is our top economic driver, 31,000 jobs. That's 10% of our state. It brings in $4 billion in spending annually. So this is really important to us, but we're doing it on a really small amount. And so what happened was, I will point right here. So you see this increased GROW grants right here, 350. What we did was we basically skinnied down other areas of our spending in order to make sure we could get this money to the regions. So essentially saying, we won't choose the spending for our advertising. We're going to take it and put it into the regions who know how to market themselves and let them spend the money. But I assume that when appropriations saw this, they looked at this and thought it was an up. They thought it was an increase to our budget. And so it was removed. So essentially what it did was it not only did it not fund that, it decreased our base budget. So our budget, which is already very, very small, is now $350,000 less. And some people might say, okay, big deal. It's really, really a big deal, particularly at a time when the federal rhetoric is, straining our cross-border relations. We are already seeing a downturn in the Canadian visitation, which is historically one of our most reliable sources. So we're, coming to you to say, if there's any way you can help us restore this to our base budget, we've worked really hard to get any increase into our base budget for tourism and marketing, which is a tiny, tiny fraction of the overall agency budget. But this in particular was really us just saying, we want to continue to focus on our workforce crisis. We're focused on evolving priorities. So we took other areas of our budget and said, we want to move the money to places where we know that we really need to be intentional. And so it wasn't that we didn't, think we needed the money or that we needed new money. It's not new money. It's just moving our money around. So we arguably kind of called attention to something that we didn't need to show it as a move here. And I think we wouldn't have been in the position we were in. We just were. Grow grants were something that had been very supported, and we felt good about it. And we elevated it up, and it backfired. Trying to think what else. Let me tell you a little bit more about the Grow grants. Basically, they can help, communities can use them to help drive visitation to the regions. They can use them for, like I said, events that will drive people here. They can help folks who have moved here to take jobs. These are healthcare workers. These are people in hospitality. These are educators. Get acclimated to the community, because it's really, it's one thing just to get somebody here, but it's another thing to make sure they're really acclimated to the community. They can use them for a variety of ways to recruit them. So as I mentioned, we're up here at the top of the funnel. The people in the regions are there where people want to be. And so this is a way that those marketing dollars can be very effective at the regional level or the community level. So not new money. Somehow it just got caught. Am I explaining this well?
We've had these grants for a number of years.
Yeah. So before you came in, I was mentioning a few years back, what was happening was we were leaning on regions to help us, right, with our workforce challenges. And they were doing this without any support. And so there was a one-time of 1.3 million. And then we eventually were able to get a small amount of money, 500,000, I think it was, into base funding. And then we wanted to make those grants even more broad around the state, because we have some counties that don't have any money through those. And so it was just an internal movement of money. And you can see the down here and here and up here. And I just think when folks were looking at our budget, they didn't realize, maybe they didn't realize we had taken from our own, this is largely our own advertising. We just moved it from one bucket to another. And some might say, like, what can you do without that advertising? The reality is we don't want to. We need to, right now more than ever, we need to keep our place out there in the market.
I guess the question that we're getting is, because nobody brought it up to House appropriations and nobody brought it up to Senate appropriations. And we're in like the last day of negotiations. This is so I'm asking, did somebody bring this up
we did.
to before today or yesterday?
Yes. We brought it up to Senate appropriations. We've brought it up to House appropriations. We've brought it up
Before it left the House or after it left the House?
After it left the House, Yes, we brought it up.
They're aware,
Yes.
because when I had conversation this morning, it sounded like this was all new to them. Or at least the House conferees.
To the House
I
conferees.
don't know about the Senate conferees, but it sounds like it was discussed even before the budget passed the Senate and was set back here.
Yeah, the House conferees, I know,
I mean, they know about it now, but what I'm saying is that the Senate Appropriations Committee was aware of this and they didn't change it back.
I can tell you that the folks on this letter, this was not the first time they heard of it. They may have forgotten. But we have communications with them.
Okay.
Or they may not have understood. I don't want to, it's awkward. This is not the first time.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yes,
And, okay. Questions for,
they shouldn't be surprised.
I'm actually just curious to know more about the program, so.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Has it, how has it panned out? Like, has this kind of like regionalized model been helpful?
Absolutely. I'm not sure if some of them have been in to testify, but I know in Rutland's found it incredibly helpful. The regions that are using it are finding incredible helpful in terms of recruiting and retaining workforce. As I mentioned, many were trying to do this work before they had any resources, and were feeling very strained. We would give them leads, but they didn't have the resources to chase or follow the leads or try to hold it down. I don't have the numbers with me. It's something I can give you. We do have data. They have to report back.
Yeah, that would be.
So I'm happy to give you that. But yeah, no, this has been an incredibly beneficial program to us. And we, in the past, the tourism department has largely been looked at as a department that promotes our state for visitation. But in the last 5 years, with the encouragement of the legislature, has turned more toward recruitment as well, recruitment of workforce, because of our workforce shortage. So it's been, this is one of those efforts that has been very supported as a result of that shift. But I'm glad you asked.
this start in Rutland, they were, either the chamber or somebody, they were trying to recruit doctors to the hospital or something, and they would bring, when the doctors would come, there'd be like a welcoming committee that would come in, take them out to supper with community leaders and
Yes, and also in Bennington, they had a really robust, and there was a program at one point called Stay to Stay.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. And so they can use it how they want. Like some might use it in that capacity, and they might call it something different. But again, also if families move, they might want to know, where to find, they want to get involved in a church group, or they want to know where to find childcare, or right. So it just takes supports to make them feel part of the community. It's not enough to just plunk them in. So it's been a really helpful program from that perspective.
anything else or? Great. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yes, thank you.
That was our conferee.
All right.
Okay.
Great. Appreciate it.
Wraps up today, committee. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, we're in room 10. The first hour, we're going to meet with Human Services and better understand how Department of Liquor Lottery and the EG's office are working to identify businesses that are utilizing the internet to sell vapes in the state. That's a no-no, it's against the law, and there was did I explain this to you before? Yeah, there was a pilot program And so now we want to find out that liquor lottery said that they could provide an investigator. We want to know if they are. And if they are, then how's that going? If not, then we need to think about, step two is providing the dollars for and having investigator dedicated to you.
That's one where, they had someone who was generating, oh, that was the building, something like $800,000.
Yeah, so they received a grant that allowed for an investigator to part-time investigate on the internet and make buys.
That's right.
And then they would find them and then turn them over to the Attorney General's office, who would go after them and fine them for selling in the state of Vermont. And this was, so there was a discussion in Human Services about potentially increasing regulation on vapes. And it's really, it's not more regulation that needs to be done to Vermont businesses. It's more we need to enforce the laws that we already have on the books, which wasn't happening. And so we took this step first before we increase the regulation on Vermont businesses, because I think we're seeing it's not really coming from Vermont businesses as much. It's more of the outside influences that are providing vapes to our kids. So so that's what we'll be talking about from 9 to 10. Really don't have much yet. Much else. 122 until we understand what's in the budget, but I think that's starting to take shape, and there'll be things that'll go out and things that'll go in. I think talking with Vice Chair that we need to have more conversations about the treasurer's ask on baby bonds. I think it's a little loose. So Vice Chair's been having some conversations with John Gray and with Ashland. John's pretty well tied up right now, so we will see if we can get that language drafted in time to get it into 122. It may not make it, but state.
Mike, what's next on the issue we just heard testimony on? Did the 11 of us storm the Bastille, or?
He and I will go down and talk with our conferees and explain to them what happened, and it wasn't a secret. And somebody dropped the ball somewhere. So hopefully they'll be able to find somebody to plug that hole that they created. So stay tuned. We'll see. Maybe Rick Sagal. Anna Grace, what do we have planned tomorrow at 10? Anything?
No.
Okay, can you see what's Rick's schedule look like for tomorrow?
Yes.
Maybe we could have a walkthrough of H-160 and 161, those are the two right to repair bills.
Yeah. He will be out of the office until 2.
So that won't work.
Uh.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's not much we can do because most of our bills are either with Rick or I don't have any with John, but
420.
it's already 120 is gone by already.
Hey. I see you, Marco.
It's almost, isn't it?
One's 476. Doesn't look like Siegel. I can't read it.
What is Cameron's
O'Grady.
Schedule look like?
He's in Senate Economic Development from 10 to 12.
Well, we'll see, may have the rest of the morning off tomorrow, we'll see.
I'm perfectly fine with us passing 420 out of this committee.
That's good.
Drafted.
As drafted, absolutely. I put the guardrails into that bill.
Right. Hopefully they're not driving us off the road. Okay, so